Today's video is going to be my best breastfeeding tips. Say that 10 times fast. Breastfeeding is natural, right? So you would think, how hard could it be? Well, it is a natural thing, but that does not necessarily mean it comes naturally. It is a learned skill that does take some practice, it takes perseverance, and it takes a lot of commitment. So I just completed my breastfeeding journey video. If you haven't seen that one, I will be linking it below. And I also made a video about breastfeeding must-haves, so definitely check that out. But in this video, I'm going to be sharing the tips that I wish I had known, the things that I learned the hard way as a first-time mom. So my number one tip is, if you have the means, try to take a class before your baby arrives while you are still pregnant. This is something I did not do. I honestly just didn't think it was going to be necessary. I didn't want to spend the money on it. And I thought, like I said, you know, I know some people have issues, but that's not going to be me. It's natural, so everything will just work out. Well, that really wasn't the best approach. That may work for some people, and for some people it is really easy. Just like for some people, labor and delivery is really easy, and pregnancy is really easy. But I'm not that person in really any of those regards. And if you're watching this, maybe you're not either. I would highly recommend, if you have the means, take a class, educate yourself as much as possible beforehand, because it can really help to just have that foundation before your baby arrives. On that same note, I highly recommend finding a lactation consultant and having that scheduled even before your baby gets here. Most of the time, there will be a lactation consultant available at your hospital. There was for me, but that just was not enough. I needed more support than that. By the time I got home, I had literally no idea what I was doing, and I definitely needed someone to just take my hand and show me, essentially, like, this is what it's supposed to look like, this is what you're supposed to do. And a lactation consultant can do that for you. They will literally help you get your baby latched on. Yeah, yes, you're gonna be a little exposed, but I mean, after labor and delivery, you know, you're kind of exposed already at that point. And so for me, I was just like, you know, if they can help me, then it's worth it. So they will be able to help you get your baby latched on. They will be able to give you personalized advice and tips on breastfeeding, and specifically for you and your baby, and it can be a game changer. I waited way too long to find a lactation consultant, and if I could go back and do it again, I would definitely have done that right from the get-go. I talked a little bit about this in my breastfeeding story. I was actually able to find a lactation care center near me that offered the services for free. I don't know if that's in every city, but that's something I would definitely look into, because I was actually able to meet with a certified lactation consultant who was able to help me with latch, weigh my baby, and all of the same things that a lactation consultant would do that comes to your home. And it was life-saving. Number three, this is something that I did do when I was pregnant, and that is watch videos on latch. I'll try to link some down in the description that show it really well if I can find them. But latch is so important, and when you're a brand new mom, you don't always really know what to look for. Sometimes babies will latch on without a problem, super easy, and it's no big deal, but sometimes they don't, and it can be really helpful to know what a latch should look like so that you can help guide your baby and avoid any unnecessary pain or unnecessary issues with feeding ahead of time. Disclaimer, I feel like I should maybe have said this at the beginning. I am not a lactation consultant. I am certainly not an expert, like means, but I am just a mom who has been through a lot and had just about all of the things go wrong that could go wrong with breastfeeding. And so I learned the hard way, and hopefully can help you avoid some of those same mistakes. So that being said, the best way I can describe latch is you want to make sure that your whole nipple, the areola, everything, as much of your boob as possible is in your baby's mouth, not just the nipple, because it's almost like sucking milk through a straw. They're not getting very much, and they're having to work harder to even get that smaller amount. But if they have the whole, as much of the nipple and your breast in their mouth as possible, then they're going to be able to get more milk and have an easier process of getting the milk. And you also want to listen for swallows. That was something I did not know as a first-time mom breastfeeding for the very first time. I had no idea that I needed to listen to swallows. Maybe that's something you already know, but if not, that's very important, because sometimes your baby will look like they are nursing, they'll look like they're getting milk and that they're latched on appropriately, but really they are just sucking essentially and not really getting much of anything. But if you listen for that swallow, then you'll be able to determine if they're actually taking in milk. Number 4, familiarize yourself with lip ties and tongue ties. They are a real thing, and they made a huge difference in my baby's ability to breastfeed. And they can also affect other things aside from breastfeeding, like speech and eating later down the line. It's definitely something I would highly recommend looking into. My baby had both a lip tie and a tongue tie, and we did get them revised when he was about 10 weeks old. And I do think that, along with finding a lactation consultant, I think that that saved our breastfeeding relationship. I don't think that we would still be breastfeeding today if I hadn't discovered that and gotten it revised. So a lot of doctors and pediatricians are not well versed in ties, and both of my pediatricians told me that it wasn't a thing, that he did not have it, and it turned out that he did. So I would highly recommend looking into that as soon as possible, before the point where you're in pain and your baby's not getting enough milk. Number 5, join a La Leche group near you, whether it's in person or on Facebook. I did join a Facebook group, and it can just be helpful to hear other people's stories. You can ask questions from experienced moms. I know in my group there are some actual lactation consultants in there who will sometimes answer your questions, and that can be really helpful, not only for the information but also for the community. So that was something that I did not know about beforehand either, and I wish I had joined sooner. It's also where I learned a lot more about lip ties and tongue ties from other moms who had experienced that in the group. Number 6, get supplies ready before your baby arrives. I would recommend having a space designated in your home for when you are breastfeeding. Get yourself a little basket, put some snacks in it, put your maybe some breast pads if you need them, or like a milk saver. Talked about that in my breastfeeding essentials to catch, the milk that comes out on the other side. Whatever supplies that you need, have them in the basket and have that little station ready. You are going to be spending a lot of time nursing in the first few days and weeks with your newborn. I was in shock, honestly, about how much my baby needed to nurse. It was like a full-time job almost. So make sure you have that stuff nearby, ready. You can grab it, because it is very easy to forget to eat even. And I am not someone who typically forgets to eat, but I remember when in those early days when we were nursing constantly, I would forget to eat, I would forget to drink water. So I would also really recommend, if there is someone in your home or someone who is helping you out, that you could designate to be your water person that can bring you water and help make sure that you're staying hydrated. My husband was in charge of that, and he would make sure that I always had a big cup of water ready to go so that I did stay hydrated. And that can also help with your supply too. If you think about it, you are losing all these fluids on top of what you would normally need to be drinking. So it definitely helps to stay hydrated, and it can definitely help to have someone designated to help you out with that so you don't forget. And along with that, be sure that you are taking care of your nutrition, that you are eating nutrient-dense foods, healthy fats like avocado, coconut oil, maybe some protein bars that you can put in that kit, and just have those ready to go so that you are keeping up with your nutrition and making sure that you get what you need to take care of your body so that you can take care of your baby. Number 7, talk about your breastfeeding expectations with your partner if you have one. This is something that I didn't really think about beforehand, but it's so important to know what both of you are expecting from this, that you're on the same page. If breastfeeding is something that you are really committed to doing, make sure that your partner knows that, because it is such a commitment and you need that person to be on your team. If they are constantly saying things like, you know, it's not that big of a deal, let's just give them a bottle, or something like that, it can really be a hindrance to keeping you motivated and keeping you going, especially if you're having trouble with breastfeeding. And so I would just have that conversation beforehand, let your partner know how important it is to you, and that way they can help you and encourage you and be a support. Number 8. I talked about this a little bit, but just be prepared that you are going to be nursing a lot in the beginning. It can feel, like I said, like a full-time job. So just prepare yourself, make a comfy space, get yourself some Netflix shows ready to go or some movies, and just embrace it, because when your little one is a newborn, they will most likely be nursing every couple of hours, and it can feel like a lot. It can feel like you've lost yourself. It can feel like your body is not your own. But just remember, it's not always going to be like that. It does get better. You will get through it, and have that snack basket ready and those shows ready to go, a comfy pillow, a nursing pillow. Check that out in my breastfeeding essentials video. But yeah, just know that it does get better and you'll get through it, and just use this as a time to enjoy your baby, enjoy being a new mom as much as possible. I know that's easier said than done. And just take it as an opportunity to relax and get caught up on some shows or some books or whatever floats your boat. Number 9. Okay, so this one I kind of hesitated to put it in, but I went ahead and included it because I think it can be a really good tool to have, and that is a baby scale. Okay, this one, the reason I hesitated is it can be a slippery slope. This is something I did struggle with personally, is you can get to the point where you are overweighing your baby. I was weighing my baby before and after feeds to see how much, he was getting in, and that can be a helpful tool at times, but it can get to a point where it affects you mentally and causes more harm than good, especially if it's making you anxious or making you second guess your ability to feed your baby. So I say it with caution, but if you think you can keep from doing those things and just weigh your baby maybe once a week or every couple of weeks, it can be a helpful tool, especially when you can't see, you're not putting milk in a bottle and you can't see how much your baby is getting. It can sometimes be a way to give you peace of mind, and even a tool to help you if you are having issues, to know that something is wrong and alert you to get help. So with that being said, I do recommend getting a scale, but with caution. And for my last tip, number 10, is just guard your mental health and your emotional health. As long as you are healthy, your baby is healthy and thriving, that is what matters. And if it gets to the point where you are not okay, where it is affecting your anxiety, where it is affecting your ability to bond with your baby, your relationship with your spouse, there are ways to get help, and there are people in the community that will help you. My battery is about to die, so I'm going to have to stop there, but if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you so much for watching. Check out my other breastfeeding videos. I hope this was helpful, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.